The best high school basketball player in America just did something you weren't supposed to do. He skipped Duke. He ignored Kansas. He walked right past Kentucky and picked BYU. In the basketball world, it didn't just react. It panicked. People weren't ready for it. They didn't know how to explain it. And some people straight up hated it. So like the video if this surprised you. Subscribe if you want more basketball stories. And comment right now if this was a genius move or a disaster waiting to happen. To understand this decision broke so many people's brains, you have to understand how rare AJ Dybantsa it really is. This isn't hype, this isn't social media buzz, this is mixtape culture. AJ Dybantsa is the type of scouts wait years for. 6'9", long frame, explosive athlete, smooth handle, natural scorer. He can bring the ball up the court, he can create his own shot, finish through contact, shoot over defenders who think they're playing good defense. This is the type of player NBA scouts lock on in our league. And every recruiting ranking said the same thing. Number 1 player in the high school, not sometimes, not maybe, everywhere. A very specific category, because players like that don't experiment. They don't take risks. They don't go off script. They usually pick a blue blood school, play on national TV, and let the machine do the rest. And that's what you expected AJ to do, right? People already had his future planned out for him. Big name program, crowded student sections, ESPN games every week, March Madness runs, easy NBA exposure. That's the formula. BYU was never supposed to be in that equation. When BYU first started coming up in conversations, people just laughed it off. They said it was an NIL leverage. They said it was a smoke. They said it wasn't real. Because historically, BYU isn't that school. No long list of one and dones. No history of 5-star recruits. No constant NBA lottery pipelines. So when BYU entered the picture, the reaction was simple. That's not happening. But what people didn't see was what was happening behind the scenes. BYU wasn't recruiting AJ like everyone else was. They weren't selling nostalgia. They weren't selling banners. They weren't selling history. They were selling clarity. And that clarity came from Young. Kevin Young doesn't think like any other college coach. He thinks like the NBA, because that's where he comes from. He understands modern offenses, spacing, pace, decision making. When Kevin Young sat down with AJ, he didn't say, come fit into what we do. He said, here's how it fits you into the league. They filmed. They talked reads, talked mismatches. They talked about how AJ's size and skill translate to the next level. AJ wasn't treated like a freshman walking onto the campus. He was treated like a future pro preparing for his next step. The best player in the country, the worst thing you can hear is restrictions. Limited touches, strict system, play your role. BYU promised the opposite. Freedom, responsibility, trust. They weren't asking AJ to blend in. They were asking him to lead. At BYU, AJ wouldn't be fighting for shots. He wouldn't be sharing the spotlight with 3 other future pros. He wouldn't be waiting his turn. He would be the centerpiece. The offense would revolve around him. The attention would be on him. The development would be tailored around him. And then there's the part where people whisper about. And I'll know. Yes, BYU came with real money. Not internet rumors, not fake numbers. Real, serious backing. But it wasn't just about cash. It was about value. Brand opportunities, national exposure as the face of the program. Stability instead of short-term chaos. AJ wouldn't just be another name on the roster. He would be the name. And here's the truth that makes people uncomfortable. If you're the best player in America, you shouldn't be underpaid. This is no longer amateur basketball. This is an open market. And BYU understood that, and they embraced it. That combination is what made this move so dangerous. Development, freedom, money, vision. But school is tradition, unlike BYU relied on strategy. And AJ, he doesn't need history. He needs reps, he needs touches, he needs film, and he needs NBA scouts locked in on him. At BYU, he gets all of that without fighting for oxygen. That's what scared people, because this decision didn't just help BYU. It exposed something. It showed that the old blueprint isn't the only one. You need a legendary logo. You don't need decades of banners. You need a plan that actually makes sense. And then came December 10th, 2024. Live announcement. Cameras rolling. Everyone expecting the usual answer. AJ Dybantsa says BYU. Everything froze. No instant jokes. No instant takes. Just shock. Pure shock. BYU had just landed the #1 recruit in America, the first 5-star in their school's history. In one moment, BYU changed how they're viewed forever. Recruits notice, coaches notice, the balance shifted. So let's be honest, people aren't mad at BYU. They're mad because the rules changed, and not everyone is ready. This decision proved that players don't have to follow tradition anymore. They can follow logic. So was this a power move or a massive gamble? Only time will tell, but one thing is already clear. AJ Dybantsa didn't just pick a school, he picked a new path. And college basketball will never look at recruiting the same way again. You can argue with me in the comments. This is Hoop Blue. See you next time.